This is World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber. World Awakenings is a podcast dedicated to opening your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to all things metaphysical and spiritual, and just how they play an all-important role in our daily life. So join Carl on this enlightening experience as he interviews metaphysical and spiritual experts to discuss, debate, and delve deeply into the hows and whys of this worldwide awakening.
Shall we begin?
The stress and drama of daily life can many times be hard to deal with on your own, and that's why Excelling My Life gives you the freedom to choose a professional life coach without having to make any special commitments, and giving you control of how long you want to spend with your life coach. Go right now to www.excellingmylife.com and find a coach that suits you best. Then click on Call or Chat Now. You'll be automatically connected to your own life coach privately and instantly via chat or call. Find your very own life coach now. No waiting. That's www.excellingmylife.com. It's the quick, easy, and affordable way to connect now to your own life coach. Let excellingmylife.com help ease the stress and strain of daily life. Oh my gosh, I am so excited about today's episode of this podcast, World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment. Hi there, I'm your host, Carl Gruber, and we truly have a very special guest on today's show. But first, let me ask you to please click that subscribe button below so that you never miss a single episode of this show that asks the question, why now more than ever is the population of the world awakening to all things enlightening, spiritual, and metaphysical? So with that, let me tell you about our special guest for this show. She goes by the name Ethera, which means Earth Star. She has been a trance channel for over 30 years, and she was trained through the Tibetan Foundation in a series of 9 lessons that she completed with the help of her spiritual teachers and guides. Now, after completing this course, Ethera found that she was able to set her personality ego aside, and because of these abilities, she is now an accurate receiver of what she calls source information. What Ethera channels from her guides is nothing but beautiful and loving, as well as practical, helpful guidance. Now, she would also like to acknowledge her friend Carol Collins, who is known as the Pittsburgh Medium and who is a past guest on this show, and also thank her guides and teachers, Jeshua and the collective, as they have been instrumental in her moving forward with her beautiful talent as a trance channel. And she was recently introduced by Jeshua to a group of ascended masters known as the Council. The Council has also been on this podcast in other episode too. Her highest level guide is called Tam, and she is now working directly with the Council. And after many, many years of channeling out of the public's eye, Ethera is now being guided to share her talent and wisdom of her teachers and guides with the world. So, Ethera, welcome. It's been awesome to get you on the show. This is kind of like your coming out party, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm so glad to have Ethera on. I don't even have this in my notes, but I just do want to tell people about a few weeks ago, I had the lovely pleasure of being at a spiritual retreat with Carol Collins and Ethera down in St. Augustine, Florida, and got to know Ethera and her teachers. And I just really, really felt that Ethera, it was time for her to come out with her beautiful talent and allow the people of the world to find out about you, Ethera. So more about you right now. I understand that, if I remember what you said at our retreat, that you aren't a natural trance channel, but because of your very real desire to be one and your 30 years of study and practice, you now are a clear and accurate receiver of source information.
Yes, I am. I'm considered a trance channel now. Yes. And when I first started, I was what was called a conscious channel, which is a 50% partner with my spiritual teachers. And when I'm working with them, it's like 10% verbal and about 90% energy, because the energy moves through and they allow that energy so that I can be connected to them and they're connected to me. And at one point, it was as if I set my personality aside and I was aware of this, what was happening, but I wasn't connected to what was happening. Mm-hmm. Now I'm blending with them. So it's like more than even a 50% partnership. I don't even have to take long breaths. They're right there with me.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Would you be able to explain exactly what is a trance channel?
Trance channel, believe it or not, it's what's called an altered state of consciousness. And believe it or not, we all go in and out of those states of consciousness all day long. Sometimes when we're just daydreaming or whatever. But when you're training to be a channel, or you're working with beings like Carol did, it's more about a blend of vibration and a blend of consciousness, because everything, as you know, is consciousness. And then when we blend with that consciousness, we receive source information. And source information, you can call it your higher self, you can call it your highest level guide, you can call it that inspiration. But there are certain what they call ascended masters, and I've been working with them, like you said, for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. And as they move through me, I begin to have this sense of a peace come over me, or sometimes even joy. And then, like this morning when I was telling you, laughter, because Jeshua came through me and he wanted to comfort me, but also have me laugh and have some fun, like you said we were going to do on here. And so he came through with a southern drawl and I was starting to crack up laughing. And so all of a sudden, any nervousness I had or fear just sort of disappeared. Yeah. Because what they want us to know is they're more like us than we give ourselves credit for, because all the time we have this feeling of we have to have this reverence or this sort of disconnection from them, because they're all powerful, all knowing, all knowing beings. But in truth, they want us to know that they want us to get closer to them, not farther away. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, everything is energy. And so we're energy, their energy. Our issue here is in our human bodies is we're spiritual beings having a dream of being in form. So that's
I like that word dream, because dream is, excuse me for interrupting you, but dream is taking on a whole different level. Everybody I talk to now that will call me and say, I had a dream, but you know what? While I was having that dream, I didn't feel like I was dreaming. I felt like I was somewhere else, but I was so awake in that dream.
Okay.
I think it's pretty interesting.
Well, I just love talking to Ethera, but if Jeshua or whoever would like to come in right now.
This is time to speak. Good evening to you. We're so glad to be with you. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I am doing great. And Tam, I had the pleasure of speaking with you and listening to you teach when we were together down in Florida. And I am so excited to have this global platform for you to now be on and reach people around the world through this beautiful lady, Ethera. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're so welcome. And when you say global, that is so beautiful, because we see that as an extension of not only consciousness, but love and consideration and friendship around the world. So that global becomes very close together to be like a home. And that's what we want to bring through, is a lot more home energy, home on the range, if you will. And we tell you that things are starting to speed up in your world because you're ready for it. Sometimes we hear Ethera as well as others say, oh my goodness, everything is going so fast, so fast, so fast. But what's happening is, while it's speeding up, you're also manifesting what you would like to create. Just like we set this up so we could have this conversation with you. You might believe it was all you, but it wasn't all you. It was us as well. We've been planning on it since she left Florida. And it was getting time for her, just like you said, to be out in the public, ready to face the audience. Audience is just another way for saying people, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we love your smile, by the way.
Thank you. Even as I sit out here in the cosmos, right?
We love the cosmos, and we love being in the same room with you. And we want to tell you that your energy and our energy are together blending as well right now.
Yeah, I love that too. And by the way, Tam, I didn't know you were Scottish or Irish. I love your accent.
Well, I am Irish from that lifetime. And the reason I came through Ethera that way was because she was introduced to me by a woman who was also a channel. And she knew me as her grandfather from over 100 years ago. And so for the fun of it, this one said to Ethera, why don't you go home and channel Tam? And she was like, but I channel Vywamus and I channel the masters. Who's this Tam? Well, he was my grandfather about 100 years ago. Oh, really? All right. So she went home and she started channeling me. And to make sure that she knew it was me, it made it so her tongue got really thick with the brogue. And now the brogue is here. That doesn't mean I have to use brogue. I can talk like this anytime I want. But it's comforting to her. Yes. And a lot of times for channels, when the names come through or when the masters come through, what happens is we create a relationship with them, a friendship. We want to call ourselves what's called the non-physical friends or non-physical guides, because non-physical is the most important thing you can connect with humanity now. Everybody needs to know that they're not alone anymore. There's been so many that have felt so alone, and you talk about the cosmos, so alone in the cosmos, but what about here in the house? What about feeling like there's no one listening to you? That is what we, the council, and we introduce ourselves now, is wanting to be able to share with the rest of the world that you are heard, that you are understood, and we are listening. We are listening when you feel that you're alone, when you feel that you're separated, when you feel that you have no one to count on. Know that there is that still small voice in you, but that still small voice is growing larger and louder now because it is time. We like the name of your show, Fast Track to Enlightenment. And we want to tell you something. Enlightenment simply means information. And you are now all on the information highway. And this information highway is an information highway that we have as well. So when you are asking your questions of practicality or emotionality, or even mentality, and we do that for a reason, because we want to change it up a bit. And we do that through her. We will change things up immediately. She might have a thread of conversation going on, and the next thing you know, we've moved it. And the reason we move that is so that you have more opportunity. In your world, there is a black and a white, a bad and a good, a yes and a no. And what we want to do is give you more expansion to say, I've got more choices here. I've got more directions here. I've got structured guidance here. I've got someone I can turn to here. You understand?
Oh, this is a beautiful message. I love it, and something the people of the world need to hear. And thank you for that. And you may have already answered this, but I have a little outline of questions that I like to ask. But and like I said, you may have already answered this, but is there a particular message you feel that you would like to share with this podcast global audience right here, right now?
Love one another. Be aware of one another. Listen to one another. Listen with new ears. When you listen with new ears, then you will hear all of us much more clearly. And the concise information that each one of you is experiencing and wanting more of will come in more of a peaceful, loving way. And that is the message that we're spreading today, is peace and love and understanding. We want you all to know that you are precious to us. When we speak to you, when the angels speak to you, when other beings speak to you and they say, we love you, please believe that it's possible, that you are worthy of love, that you are valued, that you're important in the world. You, especially Carl, look what you're doing for everybody. Not only are you a mouthpiece, but you're someone that's allowing others to talk about different subjects. And we know you said that there'll come a point when you want to do something besides channeling with the interviews. And we tell you, you're going to find them. You're going to find people. And we thought about the homeless. Maybe you could introduce some of the homeless and have them talk because they have some marvelous stories. We met a gentleman when we were down in Florida who was playing a violin, and he'd been all over the world. And he had this beauty about him, simplicity about him. And Carol and the guides actually filmed him playing his violin because more people need to be with what you would call the common everyday person. And we want to say that even about religion and non-religion. It doesn't matter what you believe in, so long as you believe in something and help somebody else to be loved, because that's the most important thing we can do, to move out of the separations, to move out of the places where we feel we can't hear this person because it doesn't match up with what we're saying. Just listen a little longer, and maybe in that silence, you'll find more truth about what they're saying to you, because they might see things just a little bit different than you do, which gives you an opportunity to see something in a different way.
Yeah, wow. You're saying things that mankind has needed to hear for a long time and needed to do. And it's interesting that you say love one another and listen more. And yet here we are in a time in the world where what we see on the big screen TV is nothing but separation and fear. And you're telling us to do the opposite. And I'm so glad. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
I do have this, my understanding that humanity here on Earth is now, right now, undergoing a very real energetic, spiritual, and physical change, one that will raise man into the 5D, a higher plane of love and awareness of all that is. Is this true?
What we want to say, we find it interesting you're talking about this subject, because Ethera was talking about this with her granddaughter this morning, and we piped up and came through. Because once you start to notice the beautiful colors, like the flowers, that brightness coming out that hasn't been seen there before. I didn't know that the tree looked so beautiful. I didn't know that it was so peaceful. You're starting to move into 5D then, because you move out of the disbelief that you can't succeed, that you're not loved, and you move into that space where the heart centers open and you feel this contentment. And that's the word we want to use, contentment. There's a contentment. And so that 5D simply means vibrating at a frequency where you're matching up with love, understanding, and interconnectedness. A great deal of interconnectedness, because when you're interconnected with what's called source. So all of a sudden you step into 5D. You're not going to have to go anywhere. You're not going to have to climb any ladders. You're simply going to merge with source more and more, just as we're doing now. You're merging with that part of source so that you can connect more, like we're connecting now, the heart center, you and I, and everyone that we're talking to. It's about a heart connection. It's about knowing that there is a better way. Just like you said, you talked about the big screen. Well, that big screen can be used for something positive as well as something negative. It just depends on where you put your point of view and how you look at things. Because once you start to see that your disbelief is falling away, then the beliefs can be stronger about what you want to have in this world rather than what you don't want to have. We'll make a quote here when we say there's another entity that talks about the contrast and the vortex. You all know your vortex very little, but you know your contrast very well, because the contrast is the part of you that goes, I don't want, I don't need, I don't have, I will not. And the vortex opens up and says, I can receive, I can have, I can know. And we were saying to Ethera earlier today, just a little while ago, as a matter of fact, if you think of the word know, K-N-O-W, it's now with a kick to it. Because we're in the now. And the more you're in the now, the more you're in the fifth dimension.
No wonder my butt hurts. I've been getting kicked in the butt with all that knowledge. You know, I have to tell you, you mentioned how things look beautiful, and I'm going to give you an example of my own experience. You know, I've been on a beautiful journey of awakening and being open to all things spiritual and enlightening over the last couple of years. And I've noticed as I've done that, my gratitude and appreciation has just exponentially opened up too. And as I've done that, I have the ability, just like you were saying, I look out and I'll go by and I have rose bushes out in front of my place here, and I'll look at them, I go, wow, really? It's that beautiful? And the colors are vibrant, and I notice the more appreciative and grateful I am, more of that beauty is sent to me too.
Absolutely. The vibrant energy is starting to move, and it's becoming more vitalized. And you're becoming more vitalized by it. It's like a symbiotic relationship with that energy, with those flowers. That's a give and take vibration that comes and goes. Because source is flowing more energy to you, more love, more color, more beauty.
And the beautiful part about that is, since we know that what we give, we receive also, as I put that out to everybody I come in contact to, hopefully their vibration is raised, their gratitude, just by me radiating that. And I do it genuinely. And I notice that with people I come in contact to.
Yes, your authentic self. Your authentic self. That's that part of you that goes, this feels good to me. I like when I'm like this, because then other people are attracted to that energy and they want to change too. They want to make things better in the world. And that's what we have as a constant, as you know, is change. So just when you're opening up, just remember, you're doing a great service, just like you're doing a great service on here. Mm-hmm. You're doing something by appreciating things. Appreciation, the energy just flows out when you say that word, appreciation and gratitude. Appreciation and gratitude. And this is Tam now. And we're so pleased that you're able to start doing this in your world, because it's going to be like a domino effect. The awakening on this planet is happening so that the domino effect can become faster and faster and faster. And a lot of the static and a lot of the energies that have been holding people back are going to start to drop away, with a lot of the beliefs as well.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. And, you know, that kind of leads me into this question. I know we've already touched on this and you're answering a lot of things already, but the mission statement of this show is, why now more than ever is the population of the world awakening to all things enlightening, spiritual and metaphysical. And as my understanding is, the history of mankind, of this planet Gaia, is way, way older and extensive than we even realize. Why now, here in the 21st century, is this taking place?
Because it's been leading up to it for a long time. It's not like it just developed overnight and said now. It's been developing for some time now, but the energy that is increasing is making it more rapid. So the why now could be seen as the date, as you were speaking of, or it could be seen as a time that you guys are now, and I'm going to say you guys, are now coming together in more of an agreement, because you made some agreements before you came here, and you decided that this was a good time in those agreements to open up more. It's felt for a while now like it was a can of worms, we know, like, or a Pandora's box. But what we tell you is that Pandora's box has got some beautiful treasures in it as well. You're starting to understand this in some of the areas that have been limitations to you. But now you're starting to see those limitations have actually been like stumbling blocks, like Vywamus says, that are now turned into stepping stones.
Wow, yeah.
And Vywamus also talks about what's called the aha rather than the oh no. And the aha is when you discover something you're not too happy about, but you go, oh no, then it shuts it down. But if you say, aha, I've got that. Okay, that's what I did. And I wasn't doing it the right way. Well, I can do it this way now, rather than, oh no, I can't do it at all. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, I need somebody to help me. It's a different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Because what we offer is a 360-degree perspective. A 360-degree perspective. And we do that with you, so you know that you have more choices. If you talk to any entity through a channel, they will tell you the same thing. You all have more choices. There's been a point in your evolution where you thought that there was really nothing that you could do. And it was like the dark ages, we'll call it. And in some ways, this world sees right now is the dark ages. But if you turn, you can see the light behind you. There's a light behind you. And that light coming in is the sun, but it's also enlightenment. Enlightenment is opening up that can of worms in a way that says, maybe these worms belong in a garden. Maybe they're aerating that garden. Maybe they're opening things. Maybe they're taking care of their environment a little better now than they used to. You see how it just sort of goes this way and builds and builds and builds, so that you have more understanding of very simple things, but they're things that might have plagued you way back when. And we just use that word plague simply because we want you to understand it doesn't have to be that way.
It is so beautiful to hear what you're saying, because everything is so loving and open consciousness. And why I say that is, all of us know in our daily lives, most of the people we encounter, the casual conversation is in the negative realm, or, oh yeah, that always happens. The gas prices go up, oh yeah, that's, most of it is negative, and it is difficult to not let that drag you down. But if we can remember what you're telling us, we can pull ourselves up and the people around us.
And you are already remembering it. You say it all the time to your friends and loved ones. So you're passing it on. And we're appreciative of that. Just keep passing it on.
Great. I will. It's kind of my purpose. I am going to shift the channels a little bit here.
Oh, you're going to shift the channel, huh?
Well, I'm going to shift the gear. All right. What is the difference between, and we kind of talked a little bit about this with Carol down in Florida. What is the difference between clairvoyant, an unconscious channel, and a conscious channel?
Clairvoyant, and this one I speaking through is also clairvoyant, is able to receive information through what's called symbols. And with a conscious channel or with a trance channel, what we do as the entities, we help them look at those symbols more fully, so that you're expressing more fully. It's the same thing with mediumship. When you're working with all those different techniques, talents, skills, and abilities, you're honing them. You're able to reach a certain level. In fact, Carol will tell you, and so with the guides through Carol, she has classes that are called intuitive study classes. It's a way to help each one of us become more in a way that they can receive more directly. And we're going to call it source directed or source led energy, so that more of that source energy can come through. With a clairvoyant or a medium, they're working with a higher energy, but at times there can be a filter there. There's always a filter everywhere, but the filter gets a little bit less the more you focus on that subtle mind energy. That's why we feel it is one of the most important things that a person can do is to meditate and just allow that inner mind to relax, become soft. And we're doing that with Ethera right now. Become very, very soft so that source can flow through. So we're not advocating being a medium or being a clairvoyant or being a channel. That is the choice of the person. All we're saying is the more the mind can be stilled, the more the vibration comes through very, very easily. Because that's what you want. You want to have that very, very easy kind of connection. You understand?
Just to remind our audience that we are talking to an awesome trance channel named Ethera, and she's based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we are talking right now, I believe, to Tam, right? This is still Tam?
Well, actually, it is the council, but it is Tam that is speaking because we're always all here together.
All right. Well, I'm going to just ask that real quickly. I don't know how relevant this is, but I had Christy Whitman on a number of episodes here, and she channels the council too, is so that you can come through different human beings.
Absolutely. And not only that, but we came to help Ethera understand more of, she's always had a connection since she started channeling with many, many, many beings. But we started to bring it in more into a concentration of energy so that we're all like a team effort here. And we all come together and we discuss what we see is important for Ethera at this time to best not only reach the public, to reach herself, to reach her family and her friends, but also to know that her team has gotten larger.
More support.
More support and more support, yes. Because the council simply means, and we found it interesting because we were channeling for a very good friend the other day, and she wanted to call us the instead of the council. And we were like, sure, you can call us anything you want, because it felt to her like the council was something that was hierarchical up here somewhere. We don't want to do that. That's not what we want to do in this world. We want to reach everybody. You can call us Sam I Am for all we care. If it brings you love and happiness and joy and laughter, for sure. We'll do the green eggs and ham for you. We'll pick it up on the stove for you.
Oh, you just got to love an ascended master with a sense of humor. I like that.
Yes, it's really important because when Ethera was first learning how to channel, she had this reverence for us, which was absolutely awesome and beautiful. But there was this one master that came to her last year because she was at his statue, and his name is Saint Francis. And he said, Ethera, please stop calling me saint, and please stop going like this. He goes, that is inequality. In some ways, I'm going to tell you that reverence is an inequality because it's saying you're down here somewhere and we're up here somewhere. No, that's not the way it is at all. We never meant that for that to be like that. And so now she doesn't call him St. Francis anymore. She calls him Francis.
I like that because, and I've said this on other episodes of this show, that the same thing. Jesus has told us that he did nothing that we can't do, that he was
Absolutely.
different than us. We just have, it's just like that. We have Jesus way up here and we think we're down here, but in truth, we're equal to him, and there's nothing that he performed that we can't do. We just forgot.
Absolutely. But we're starting to remember, and you're starting to remember. And when we say you're starting to remember, we're starting to remember, it's that partnership, because we're learning together. You know, we learn as much from you as you learn from us. We're supposedly this all-powerful being, but how could we possibly grow if we were just this all-powerful being?
Well, you know, speaking of that, I would like to do, and I mean, I think this applies to you. I think you mentioned when we were in Florida that you teachers are called 12th level beings. What exactly does that mean?
It just means that we've reached a certain level of information and knowledge that we are imparting to the world. But we're learning as well, even on the 12th level. The levels aren't really levels as you understand them. And we were talking about that to Ethera a few hours ago. You could think of it as a rung on a ladder, but the rung on the ladder simply is a way to go up something, and you reach that level, and then you gain information. But then we're going to go up another ladder and another level. We evolve just as you evolve, and we plan and we move things and we change things. We change furniture the same way you change furniture. But the furniture we speak of is a construction of energy. And we receive more.
Wow. I'm just kind of like trying to grasp all this. It's awesome, you know, and wow. You know, once again, I'm real good at this. I'm shifting gears again, and I don't mean to be dark here, but I have to ask this with what the crazy pandemic in the world right now. Is humanity going to make it through what is perhaps the most challenging and dangerous time in the history of Earth right here, right now? Are we going to make the?
I think it's interesting you said challenging and dangerous, because those are terms we want you to begin to drop. Our answer to you is yes. And on some what you call timelines, you've already made it. So you choose the timeline by changing the story. And Carl, if we had done a reading for you and you'd asked that question, we would have said the very same thing. Because I know the popular vote right now is to know what's coming as far as this being over and done with. We tell you on some timelines it's already done, because we want you to start embracing those timelines, embracing those storylines. We want to talk about storylines because your world is full of storylines, as you already know from your news broadcasts, and your regular media, and the medias that are now coming back and saying, all right, we're going to tell the truth here. But whose truth is it, and from what perspective? And is it a storyline the way the Bible was? And which each one of those could have been journalists that were looking at a different form of what happened in those stories and said, from their perspective, this is what happened. From that perspective, this is what happened. We ask you to choose the story that best fits your evolutionary responsibility. Your evolutionary responsibility is only this, that you have the best of everything. That's how we answer your question.
I like it. I like it.
Create from within. Believe this is done, and just start working on that storyline.
And everything you say there too, and as my regular listeners and viewers will know, we talk about the law of attraction quite a bit, and that's pure law of attraction right there, what you're saying.
It absolutely is. And Tam told Ethera I was going to be teaching classes about the law of attraction through her. So that's interesting that you say that, because it is the law of attraction. And we want it to become a little more supple than even the law of attraction, because then there's this part of the person that goes, I'm attracting something I don't want to have. And then that law of attraction goes, oh, okay, you don't want to have, we'll bring that, we'll bring that, we'll bring that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can stay in that space that says, I know what I want, this is what I want. And when the other comes up, simply let it start to drop like raindrops right off of you, like water off a duck's back. You understand my meaning here?
I love that term. Yeah. Oh, man, this is just awesome. I'm just kind of sitting here fumbling around with all my questions and
Oh, your questions are awesome.
but this is great. Tim, you know, I kind of started off our little chat here with the same thing, but right now, is there any other message and teaching that you feel the people of Earth need to hear from you right now?
We are who we say we are. And you are who you say you are. And as you move into that subtle knowing that everything is all right, everything is going to be better than you've imagined it, because you all have big imaginations. And we want you to remember, imagination is imaging. Vywamus talks a lot about that. And when you first image, you can create everything you desire to have. Just step back a little bit, take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm ready to open and I'm ready to receive.
Perfect. Just perfect. That is just awesome. Oh my gosh. You know, I do want to ask, I didn't have this written down, but I do want to ask this. So here we have a lady, a human being who is called a trance channel. And we have these beautiful teachers, ascended masters and teachers coming through to teach us and love us and guide us. How does a person say who has been grown up from childhood in a paradigm, so let's say strictly religious, what I'm hearing here, this doesn't fit my paradigm, how do they get around that? I mean, so that they don't think that this is woo-woo or this needs to be eradicated?
Well, that's why I think it's so important to begin to let go of the woo-woo and talk to people on their own level, rather than trying to give all this esoteric information. Esoteric information and the esoteria had a place at one point, but now it's starting to be a limitation, because common everyday people need to know that they're loved, they're respected, they're honored, and they're cared for. I don't care what religion that is, as we said earlier. So what we would say to them is, love one another. How can you possibly fight with that?
Mm-hmm. And that's a classic, the old statement, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat them
absolutely
you want it treated.
And what was the last part you were going to say? And
treat others as you would want them to treat you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, my beautiful friends, we're going to wind down here. We've been talking to Ethera, a trance channel. Her name means Earth Star, which I absolutely love.
And it's me now. It's Ethera.
Ethera, welcome back. That was fantastic. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Council. Anybody who would like to work with Ethera and have her do a session with you, she is located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you're in that area, you might be able to get together her one-on-one. Now, you don't have a website right at the moment, do you?
Not right now at the moment. But Carol's probably going to help me with that very soon.
You do have an email. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you from anywhere in the world, obviously you're available on video conferencing. What's your email address?
Oh, geez. I don't have it on me right now.
I can tell you. Let me.
Yeah, you have it because I sent it to you.
Yes, you did. Your email is Ethera Earthstar 2020 at gmail.com. So that's
There you go.
Ethera is ETHERA, and then Earthstar, EARTHSTAR 2020 at gmail.com. And as you just saw or heard, we have a genuine, beautiful human being who is bringing incredible, beautiful, loving knowledge and enlightenment to us. And thank you, I'm so glad to get you on the show.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Carl.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. And we'll see you in the next episode. Ethera, namaste, my beautiful friend.
Namaste.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber, a certified law of attraction life coach. We welcome you to tune in each and every episode of this podcast, World Awakenings, as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that all the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things metaphysical and spiritual, and just how they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment everyday life. Much love and light to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in.